You noble diggers, all stand up now.
Welcome, comrade. Never forget the forms.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to my channel. Today we will be talking about the contribution to the critique of Hegel's philosophy of right 1844, or Karl Marx. I've been waiting for this episode. The entire history of Western philosophy, episode 10, I believe we're on. And I said at the beginning that Socrates' "you know that you know nothing" would be the main lesson of the course. You can think of it actually kind of like the Old Covenant from the Bible, as I have described the selection of readings that I've put forward as the Canon, because it will be to future generations as important as the Bible was to the West. The Canon, like the old canon, this new canon, it has an old covenant and a new covenant. The old covenant is laid down much like Abraham or Moses, talking to the burning bush, or coming down with the stone tablets. Socrates' "you know that you know nothing" is inscribed in stone. There's no shaking that. But there's a new covenant now, because there are things, not things that we know, but ways that we will try to know. Because you know that you know nothing doesn't mean that you won't try to reveal truths to you, little truths, that are useful to you in that moment. How do we go about this is obviously been the debate we've been about in this back and forth throughout history in this 10 episodes now we've been on. Once you have figured out the starting position, the presuppositions of the argument on how the world works, the logic just follows. And so as long as the rationalists, the idealists, the spiritualists, whatever you want to call these people, idealists is what we call them here, as long as they run the world, things will not be run correctly, because the logic that follows is incorrect from this first incorrect presupposition. It is not spirit that guides this world. It is matter. Marx will not come to the position that I am at, which is that there is no such thing as free will. He would reject that. He might throw up if I said that, and I would say that I'm an orthodox Marxist. He might keel over and die if he heard that. But what he did was he took Hegel's spin of fate, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and he spun it backwards so that the material of history was the guiding force, and that choices, spirit, kind of really nothing. A mere accident, as I'll describe. I've left out the most famous quote from this book because I think I've said it elsewhere, which is the opium of the masses quote, the full quote, which is, I used to be able to do it from memory. The foundation of irreligious criticism is man makes religion. Religion does not make man. But man is no... can't do it anymore. I have to go reread that a bunch of times till I reinscribe it in my memory. But anyways, I've done a bunch of quotes here, and I've tried to focus them around the state, around the idea of the crown, and so that you can see how he views history. And then next week, next episode, we'll do the 18th Brumaire of Louis Napoleon, which is how he's engaging with history in front of him. oh, he's a young man here, and in this text that I'm quoting for, and it's already the best philosophy he's ever produced. From the first time he touches pen to page, is the best it ever gets. Lord Autism. Derrida might be better, technically, but, he's lazy, and he was French. He's more worried about billiards and how many graduate students he could seduce. Whereas there's this authenticity and an earnestness that comes from Marx that makes you want to believe. It makes you want to do something for the better. Because you look outside and everything sucks. Everything sucks all the time. The systems of government always fail to respond to crises. They always respond actually counterproductively to crises. And there's no answer to this outside of Marxism. Hegel everywhere falls from his political spiritualism into the crassest materialism. At the summit of the political state, it is always birth that makes determinate individuals into embodiments of the highest political tasks. The highest political activities coincide with individuals by reason of birth, just like an animal's position, character, way of life, etc., are immediately inborn. In its highest function, the state acquires an animal actuality. Nature takes revenge on Hegel for the disdain he showed it. If matter is supposed to constitute no longer anything for itself over against the human will no longer retains anything for itself except the matter. The false identity, the fragmentary and sporadic identity of nature and spirit, body and soul, appears as incarnation, since birth gives man only an individual existence and establishes him merely as a natural individual, and since the functions of the state, as for instance the legislature, etc., are social products, i.e., births of society and not procreations of the natural individual, then what is striking and miraculous is precisely the immediate identity, the sudden coincidence of the individual's birth with the individual as individuation of a certain social position, function, etc. In this system, nature immediately creates kings, peers, etc., just as it creates eyes and noses. What is striking is to see as immediate product of the physical species what is only the product of the self-conscious species. I am man by birth, without the agreement of society, yet only through universal agreement does this determinate birth become peer, or king. Only the agreement makes the birth of this man the birth of a king. It is therefore the agreement, not birth, that makes the king. If birth, in distinction from the other determinations, immediately endows man with a position, then his body makes him this determined social functionary. His body is his social right. In this system, the physical dignity of man, or the dignity of the human body, with further elaboration meaning the dignity of the physical natural element of the state, appears in such a form that determinate dignities, specifically the highest social dignities, are the dignities of certain bodies which are determined and predestined by birth to be such. This is of course why we find in the aristocracy such pride in blood and descent. In short, in the life history of their body. It is this zoological point of view which has its corresponding science in heraldry. The secret of aristocracy is zoology. That which is permanent is entailed wealth, landed property. This is the preserving moment in the relation, the substance. The master of the entailed state, the owner, is really a mere accident. Thank you. Have a good day. Hello, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you. This channel has one mission: to prevent civilizational collapse associated with climate change, to prevent 100 million refugees by 2035, to stop 7 billion from starving to death by 2075, and we will do this through one main vehicle. We mean to unite the Anglosphere. We will do this by convincing the Commonwealth of His Majesty King Charles III to apply for statehood as one. And then with this new power, we will be able to negotiate in good faith with the rest of the world on how to tackle this crisis. Thank you and enjoy.